The Houston Texans are AFC South champions yet again. So what's next for the AFC South champs? Welcome into the channel. I'm Cody Stoots. Let's talk some Texans winning the AFC South. They get the AFC South crown thanks to the Jaguars losing to the Tennessee Titans. Mike Vrabel and company did a lot of work to get the Texans over the hump and into the playoffs as the 4 seed and the AFC South champions. I felt like the Titans had a little bit of juice this week when Mike Vrabel was at the podium and he was just so mad and upset about losing. Derrick Henry and what might be his final game for the Titans took care of business, and that Titans win over the Jaguars puts the Texans into the 4 spot and gives them the AFC South championship. So what's next for the AFC South champions, and what does this mean for the organization? Let's break it down here on the video. The next opponent for the Texans, the Cleveland Browns. The 4 seed Houston Texans will host the 5 seed Cleveland Browns at NRG Stadium next weekend. Now, the playoff schedule is 2 games on Saturday, 3 games on Sunday, and 1 game on Monday night. Remember, they added a Monday night football game to the wild card round recently. So I don't believe the Texans are going to play on Monday night. I feel like there's a strong chance that they are the first game on Saturday hosting the Browns. But I would think there's a chance with the excitement that CJ Stroud and D'Amico Ryans have brought to the Texans, the intriguing storyline of Joe Flacco of the Browns, you could make an argument that that 4-5 matchup deserves a bit more attention. Maybe Saturday night, maybe the middle of Sunday, or at least the start of Sunday, but that will be determined by the end of Sunday when the Texans play the Browns. But that is the matchup. Texans hosting the Browns at NRG Stadium next weekend. That was the matchup that I wanted. Of all the matchups that the Texans potentially could have had, all the playoff scenarios, that's the one that I preferred the Texans to play. Number one, they're at home. Okay, they're at home. Number two, that's the only game where they for sure have a quarterback advantage. You could make a really solid argument for CJ Stroud versus Josh Allen. Most people would pick Josh Allen, but there's at least a conversation. There's at least a conversation with this version of Patrick Mahomes and CJ Stroud as well as he's playing. I still take Mahomes, but there's not a conversation. CJ Stroud's better than Joe Flacco. I know how well Joe Flacco's been playing, but CJ Stroud is better than Joe Flacco, and I will always take the opportunity for my team to have a quarterback advantage over the opposing team in a key matchup in a regular season game, like we saw it play out for the Texans against Gardner Minshew, or certainly in a playoff game now against Joe Flacco and the Browns. Almost said Ravens. It's hard to break old habits. Now, we all remember what happened the last time the Texans played the Browns just a few weeks ago. 36-22, the Case Keenum and Davis Mills quarterback combination did not do a great job against a really, really good Browns defense, and the Texans defense did a horrific job against Joe Flacco and Amari Cooper. Cooper set a record for opposing receiving yards allowed against the Texans with 265 yards and the 2 touchdowns. He was incredible. The Texans were really banged up in that game. Not only did they not have CJ Stroud, they didn't have Will Anderson, and they didn't have Blake Cashman in that matchup. They also had guys go down in the course of that game. This Browns team is a 2-man team. They are a 2-man team. They are Amari Cooper and David Njoku. And I'm worried about Njoku because they didn't have to use him that much because Amari Cooper played so well. But the Browns are a 2-man team, and I do not believe Joe Flacco is going to walk into NRG Stadium and throw for 368 yards and 3 touchdowns again. That's not going to be the case against this defense that's feeling itself. The Browns can't run the football against this Texans team. I don't believe they have the ability to run the ball on a consistent basis. The Texans will be hopefully much more prepared for the Browns this time around when they come to town to play at NRG Stadium. And if they're not, then they're going to go home and we're all going to lament how Kevin Stefanski and the Browns have D'Amico Ryans' number. But I believe they're going to be more prepared. You have a chance. The Texans have a chance to get Jonathan Grenard back for this matchup. You'll have Will Anderson, however healthy he is. We see him get his snaps limited throughout the game, but you'll have Will Anderson in this matchup more than likely. You could get Robert Woods and Noah Brown back as well. So the opportunity to improve on that performance from the last time the Browns were in town and then flip the result, it's there. It's right there in front of you with this matchup. The Texans can beat the Browns. This is not an unbeatable team coming to town against the Texans. The Texans can beat the Browns. Early Vegas lines have the Browns favored by about 2 points. I talked with Landry Locker, who does a great job here on YouTube covering the Texans as well. I thought that look-ahead line might be 2.5 points, maybe 3 points. So right around there. It's going to be a close game. And the Texans can beat the Cleveland Browns. And again, this is the matchup I really wanted them to have, because not only is it a home game, I believe this is the least talented quarterback that you could have played. Look, Joe Flacco's got to turn into a pumpkin at some point, right? Why not have him turn into a pumpkin on the field at NRG Stadium in the playoffs, and the Texans have an opportunity to beat that Browns team. Now, CJ Stroud being back in the game, that's obviously the biggest aspect of this matchup. Stroud going to play, that's a really, 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 can I say it again? Really tough Browns defense. It will not be easy for CJ Stroud and company to move the ball. They will not, the Browns, allow Nico Collins to have a 195-yard game against them. Denzel Ward and the rest of that Browns defense are too good. They will not let Nico Collins get going. So you will need contributions from Dalton Schultz. You'll have to run the football better than you did against the Colts and better than you did the first time that you played the Cleveland Browns. You will have to get something out of wide receivers that aren't Nico Collins in that matchup. It's not going to be easy. I don't want that to come off as the conversation point about this Browns matchup. It's not going to be easy, but this is the matchup I want, and this is the matchup I believe the Texans can absolutely win. And you win this one, who knows how the playoffs shake out? Maybe you host another playoff game. Maybe not. Maybe you got to go on the road and take care of business. You can't worry about any of that until you take care of the Cleveland Browns at home next weekend at NRG Stadium. That's going to be fantastic. Be on the lookout for when that game is played. My prediction, first game of the playoff weekend on Saturday afternoon. Not the worst spot, not the best spot, but I that's just kind of where they put the Texans when they make the playoffs. Hopefully that's changed. Maybe that's changed. Maybe CJ Stroud and D'Amico Ryans have changed that as well. They've certainly changed this Houston Texans team. Competing for the AFC South, okay, competing for the AFC South, being in the conversation for the AFC South was an expectation I had for the Texans for next season, for the second year of the D'Amico Ryans and CJ Stroud tandem that this team put together this past offseason by hiring D'Amico Ryans and ultimately drafting CJ Stroud. I was hoping that in their second year together, they'd be competing for the AFC South crown. Here they are in their first year, and they are AFC South champions. That goes to show you, as if you had any doubt, any questions, the Houston Texans are on the correct track. They are headed in the right direction. The potential to be a force and a power in the AFC exists with D'Amico Ryans and CJ Stroud as the forefront of this organization. It is possible. And to think about where this team was last year and to see how many players they had to bring in, how many guys had to get better, and how well guys played over the course of the season and even improved from earlier in the season to later in the season, this team is in an incredible spot. They've got a really good head coach. They've got a special guy at the quarterback spot. Nick Caserio's had his best year as a general manager from when the Texans walked off the field in Indianapolis with the number 2 overall pick to ultimately using that on CJ Stroud, the free agency acquisitions, the in-season acquisitions to help, close the margins and tighten up the edges of this team. The Texans are in a fantastic spot as a team, and this AFC South Championship just puts a punctuation point on they're headed in the right direction. An punctuation point. It puts an exclamation point. That's what I meant. It puts an exclamation point on the Texans are headed in the right direction. The future is so bright for the Houston Texans. It's so, you know what? It's really bright. It's so bright, I got to put glasses on. The future is so bright for the Houston Texans, I got to put my shades on. All right? If you want to put this hat on, you can. The hat raffle is open in the description down below. Give me your email address. We'll enter you in the hat raffle. Please be in the United States if you enter the raffle so that I can send you the hat. If you win the hat raffle, I'll send you one of these Houston football hats. What is Houston football, Cody? Houston football is where I do all my writing about the Houston Texans. The link for that is in the description down below as well. www.houfootball.com is where you can find it. And if you want to just buy the hat purchasing link is in the description down below as well. Also in the description, you'll find out about my friends at J Bar M. J Bar M, incredible barbecue, 2201 Leland Street in Edo. Go check them out. They are the best in taking care of you when you roll in there. They've got incredible food. The atmosphere is great. A lot of space. Some barbecue joints, when you go in there, you start smelling like, the pit when you're leaving. Not at J Bar M. A ton of space. The beer garden's incredible to watch games and hang out. Live entertainment's on the weekend. Check out J Bar M. They're great supporters of the channel. I hope you are a great supporter of them. If you've watched the video this long, you are a great supporter. I greatly appreciate you watching. I appreciate a thumbs up on the video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Man, playoff football for the Houston Texans. We're going to have it covered right here on the YouTube channel. Don't miss it. Hope you enjoyed the video. I can't wait until we talk Texans again soon.